Welcome to 15 with Christine. Aleia Shipman, owner and president of 3G Chemical Solutions, is our special guest today. So let's get started. On 15 with Christine, we talk about all things business growth. But before we dive in, I want to tell you where you can find the broadcast. I'll come to you live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. Hit the subscribe button and you won't miss an episode. My goal is to introduce you to people who can help you grow. And I'm excited this week to welcome Aleia Shipman, owner of 3G Chemical Solutions. Aleia, welcome.
Hey, Christine. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. Aleia, it's so much fun to have conversations with entrepreneurs like you. And I often like to start with the question, how would you describe the story behind starting 3G Chemical Solutions? I know you've been in business for over 7 years, and that you have a depth of experience in your industry. But can you take us back and tell us your personal story to make that decision to jump into entrepreneurship?
Wow. Great question. Great question. So I was going through a divorce, actually. In 2016, I was going through a divorce. I was working for a chemical supply company, had been working for them for about 10 years, and was going through this divorce. I had 3 little ones, and I had to figure out, what am I going to do to be able to provide for these kids? Now, I have a degree in speech pathology, and I didn't want to go back into the school system. I had done that before. I needed something a little different. I worked for a chemical supply company, like I said, for about 10 years.
Yes.
And around 2016, I realized that I really needed to have full autonomy of, just my life and
Yes.
what I wanted to do going forward. And so in 2016, I branched out and we started 3G Chemical, which is affectionately named after my 3 kids, Gavin, Gia, and Garrison.
Oh, I love that. I didn't know the story behind the name. What vision did you have in starting your own business? I hear you talking about having autonomy. So I'd love to hear more about what that's meant for you. But did you have a vision around taking care of your clients? How would you describe that? And what has, I guess, running your own business as opposed to working as part of a larger organization, what has that meant for you when it comes to really taking care of your clients' needs?
So what I've learned from just being this entrepreneur and owning my own company is that you almost have to be kind of at their beck and call, when you're building those relationships. I've had customers that would call me for the wildest things. We have had the opportunity of dealing with these customers and assisting them. It may not even turn out to be a sale, but it's the relationship piece of it. It's giving them the opportunity to see that, hey, we want to work with you. We may not have that particular item, or we may not even supply that, what it is you're looking for, but let us work with you. We can connect you with another business owner or someone else that may be able to help you.
Oh, that's a great example about tapping into your network to provide solutions, right?
Right.
So what do you enjoy the most about the process of running and growing 3G Chemical Solutions?
The process that I love the most is, oddly enough, I am an introvert with extrovert tendencies. So I have to basically go home, plug myself in, charge up, and then go out into the world and be, this vibrant person, and this seemingly energy-filled individual. But I love connecting. I love meeting new people. I love being a part of organizations where I'm learning about all different types of companies that, I may have never heard about. Um,
Yes.
so I think just the experience, just the education piece of it.
Yes.
Um, I've gone through different cohorts. I did Goldman Sachs. I did SBA Emerging Leaders. Recently, I finished up supplier scale with BBA and Prosper. And so I love learning, understanding that it's not just always
Mhm.
about sales, it's about
Mhm.
relationships, and it's about, the
Yeah.
marketing aspect of it. So
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest piece for me. And then on the side of, raising my kids, being
Yes.
visible with them. They come in here in the summers and they work in the warehouse with me, and, they understand the dynamics of 3G and, how we're growing the company. And so that also, I love that piece of it as well.
What a great way to teach them as they're growing.
Right. Hmm.
I'm curious, what would some of your best clients, the clients you've built those long-term relationships with,
Hmm.
um, what would they say about working with you?
I think they would agree that my attention to detail with them, my
Mhm.
willingness again to go above and beyond, what the call of duty is for them,
Yes.
making sure that they don't have to call me for their product. I'm understanding my customer use. Understanding that sales cycle, understanding that, okay, hey, we've supplied them this. We need to
Yeah.
make sure that we're following up. We're not just selling them as a one and done, but really building a relationship with them, understanding I can go into any of my accounts right now and I typically know, their kids, I know where they're off at college, I know their, most recent surgeries, I know. So that's another aspect of sales. We're the therapists, we're the we're the confidants. So so that's just, one of the things I think that they could really speak to 3G about is just, having that relationship and knowing that if I call Aleia, she's going to be there and she's going to help us figure it out.
Yes. Well, and can you take a minute and give us an example? Maybe share the industry that your client is in, and and share maybe some of the challenges they've faced and how you've helped them over the years, just so people that are listening can maybe paint the picture in their mind of what you do.
Right. So I've got a couple of those actually. One that is a situation where it didn't necessarily turn into a sale, but it was just
Yeah.
funny. My admin assistant came in and she was like, I don't know if they know what we do, but we had a customer. It was a new account, and she sent an email over actually just this week, and she said, I have no idea if you guys do this. She said, my office, I can hear everything in the building. She was like, we have very
Mhm.
thin walls. Now,
Yeah.
I'm a chemical supplier. I don't know a chemical that's going that's going to soundproof a wall. But I immediately, tapped into Google and, found some information. I forwarded it to her. I connected her to a company that installs
Yes.
soundproof, barriers and things like that for companies that already have existing walls. And she was very appreciative.
Yes.
But again, it was just me taking a few seconds out of my time to do that for her. In another situation, I have a university that is also a new account,
Yes.
and they've been complaining about, just these odors from old pipes that they've had.
Yeah.
And they had someone that came in and gave them a quote, and they wanted over $100,000 for, a simple issue
Yeah.
with the deodorizer. And
Yeah.
so what we did was we went in, we took samples of different scents and things like that.
Yes.
And we came to an agreement that they absolutely love some of those things, and it was less than $100,000. So for them,
Yes.
the added value was I was there, I walked them through the process, I showed them, different options that they had, both financially, and we were able to come to a resolution for them.
That's a great example. So when it comes to the chemical solutions that you provide, when
Correct.
you think about, what you have stocked there in your facility, in your office in Bessemer,
Mhm.
what kind of problems do you help your clients take care of with those chemical solutions? So I hear you talk about, if they're dealing with odors, but what else could they be dealing with where you're really uniquely, positioned to help them?
So we deal a lot with municipalities as well.
Right?
They have with their sewer systems, they've
Yes.
had issues, and it's funny because it seems like a lot of things are centered around odor. So instead of calling myself the chemical lady, I should be the odor lady. But yeah. So in the municipal area, again, they have a lot of issues with sewers, and the sewers having those odors that are coming up. In the communities, they have their residents who may complain about those odors.
Yes.
They need to figure out, okay, we need to keep our residents happy. And so, again, we have solvents, degreasers and solvents that will go in and emulsify those odors, emulsify that grease that's in those sewers and be able to keep them clean. And then we'll have deodorizers that come behind and be able to emit those pleasant smells. So hopefully the city won't get, all these harassing calls about their
Right.
communities stinking.
Well, that's important. So really, if someone is complaining about an odor, you're able to come in and kind of diagnose the root cause
Correct.
and then provide the right
solvent or the right solution, yes,
exactly.
that will be able to assist them in making sure that odor is eliminated, and then they have a pleasant odor coming through those sewers. Correct.
That makes sense. Yeah, but that's not something that people generally know about. So that's where your expertise comes into play.
Right. That's true.
So I'd like to also ask you, because I've had the chance to meet you a couple of times. We were actually connected on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
and we're going live on LinkedIn. And then we have met and crossed paths at a number of networking events.
Mhm.
As you have worked to build your presence in the Birmingham metro market, to build your client base, can you speak to us about how you've developed your own personal branding? Because I'm sure, like many small to medium-sized business owners, you have competitors that are huge companies.
Right.
You're setting yourself apart. Would love to hear more from you about how you have done that as a female business owner, because I've just been so impressed when I've met you, and that's why I invited you to be on the show for this conversation. So just would love to hear so that other entrepreneurs can learn from you.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, starting out, I did not realize how important the presence of branding and marketing
Yes.
was. So, as I
Yes.
mentioned before, I came from another company and I didn't see that. I didn't see us, marketing or doing advertising or, any of that. And, but I realized, to your point, I was going up against, some really big competitors, and
Yes.
how better, to put myself in my own little space than to, get out here, make sure I was networking. I did hire a marketing company
Yes.
that has worked really, really hard to make sure that I'm present. I've had people come up to me and say, Aleia, I see you all over LinkedIn. So that means they're doing a great job. They're doing,
Yes, you
shout out to Rebirth. But yeah, so they just really made me visible in that sense. Of course, when you're also dealing with a product-based business, making sure that you're branding your product. We've got
Yes.
our private label products. So when customers are purchasing these products, they're on their shelves. They
Mm.
know, hey, I want to try this 3G product. But that has just been, crucial to the growth of us. And then, to your point, people knowing who 3G is. It's fun at times, because, as I said, I do like being out meeting people. But then it can be a tad bit overwhelming,
Yes.
but I love the growth. I love that, we're out here and visible, and, and you're bringing us more exposure. So that's, so that's great. That's great.
Well, Aleia, we are right at the end of our conversation. I so appreciate you joining us today. Thank you for sharing your experience. For anyone who's listening, if you'd like to learn more about the solutions provided by 3G Chemical Solutions, their website is right here on the ticker. You can also reach out and connect with Aleia on LinkedIn. Thanks so much, Aleia. In 2 weeks, we're going to be back with our next conversation on 15 with Christine. Be sure and join us then. Until next time.